My name is Athena Sinclair. I was 34 years old when I learned that a family can smile while using your name, your card, and your trust, then close the door in your face like you were a stranger. 3 months ago, I flew 18 hours from London to Tennessee for my sister Brooke's wedding. I had bought the dress 2 months earlier. I had wrapped her gift in my hotel room the night before. I had practiced a short toast on the plane because I thought my little sister would want me there. But when I reached the barn, my own parents stood in front of the entrance. My mother Diane looked at me in her champagne dress, perfect makeup, perfect hair, and said I needed to leave. I thought she was joking. I thought there had to be some mistake. Then she leaned closer and said only family was allowed inside, and I was not invited. The worst part was not even the words. It was how calm she sounded when she said them. My father, Frank, stood behind her, looking at the ground, saying nothing. Guests were walking past us, smiling, carrying programs, ready to celebrate the wedding I had helped make possible. I stood there, holding a $700 gift, while the string quartet warmed up inside. Every flower, every plate, every light, every photograph had my name attached to it. I had signed the vendor contracts because my parents said their credit was weak. I had put down the deposits because Brooke was just starting her life. I had believed that family meant you showed up, even when it cost you. But in that moment, my mother made it clear. My money was welcome. My presence was not. 3 days later, the phone rang. It was Diane. Not to apologize, not to ask if I got home safely, not to explain why she had erased me in front of strangers. She called because the final wedding balance had arrived, $38,000. Venue, catering, flowers, photography, all due under contracts I had signed. She used the soft voice she always used when she wanted something and asked how we were going to handle it. That was when I finally understood the power I still had. Before I tell you how that bill turned into my unexpected revenge, take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy this story. Also, drop your location and local time in the comments. I always want to know where you are listening from. Now let me take you back to the day Brooke announced her engagement, because that was when the first warning sign appeared. I did not see it clearly then. I saw a happy bride, a proud mother, and a family celebration. Later, I realized I was looking at the beginning of a plan that needed my signature, not my seat. That truth arrived slowly, then all at once inside me. Last November, Brooke called me on FaceTime from our parents' kitchen in Cedar Bluff. It was raining in London, the kind of cold, gray rain that makes the window look like frosted glass. I was answering work emails when her face filled the screen, bright and trembling with excitement. She lifted her hand and flashed a ring. "Garrett proposed," she said. "I'm getting married." I smiled before I even thought about it. Brooke was my baby sister, 8 years younger, the girl I used to braid hair for before school, the girl I protected from bullies, the girl everyone said was fragile after the illness she had as a child. I told her I was happy for her. I meant it. Behind her, I saw Diane moving around the kitchen counter. She looked into the camera for half a second, smiled without warmth, then looked away. Brooke said the wedding might be at Meadow Creek Barn because Garrett Caldwell family knew the owners. The Caldwells had money, status, and deep roots in town. Diane seemed proud of that, almost relieved, as if Brooke had married into a family polished enough to make ours look better. I asked when the date was, and Diane stepped into the frame. "Do not rush to buy a ticket," she said. "It will probably be small." I laughed because I thought she was being practical. "Mom," I said, "it is Brooke wedding. Of course I am coming." Diane only said, "We will see." 2 weeks later, she called me alone. Her voice had that careful sweetness I had learned to distrust. She said the venue needed a credit card on file, then the caterer needed one, then the florist and photographer. She said their credit was not strong after the refinance, and Brooke had no history yet. All they needed was my name and my card as a formality. The total was $41,500, she said quickly, but only $3,500 had to be paid up front. The rest would be settled after the wedding. She promised they would handle it. I sat in my London office, staring at the city below, already knowing this was dangerous. I also knew the old script. Athena is the responsible one. Athena earns well. Athena lives overseas. Athena can help. Years earlier, I had co-signed a car loan for Frank and spent 3 years cleaning up the damage. I had wired Diane money for emergencies that always somehow involved Brooke. Still, when the contracts arrived, I signed them. Venue, catering, flowers, photography, my name, my card, my credit, my risk. I told myself this was love. I told myself a good sister did not count every dollar. Looking back, that was the moment they learned exactly how much of me they could use. And because I still wanted to belong, I let them teach me that lesson without asking why I was useful only when a bill appeared at their door. After that week, the wedding moved forward without me. Brooke created a group chat called Caldwell Wedding Crew, and I only learned about it because she accidentally forwarded me a photo meant for the bridesmaids. Satin dresses in dusty rose, gold heels, matching robes for the morning. The caption said, "Vote, ladies." I stared at the screen and waited for another message explaining why I had not been added. None came. I called Brooke that night. She sounded distracted, as if I had interrupted something more important. I asked about the dress code. She said she would ask Mom. I asked if she wanted me to prepare a toast. She said maybe, then ended the call because Garrett was waiting. A month passed. No invitation arrived. Not in the mail, not by email, not even a forwarded schedule. I told myself sisters did not need invitations. I told myself Diane was busy. I told myself Brooke was overwhelmed. Then, 2 weeks before the wedding, Brooke posted photos from the rehearsal dinner planning night. Diane stood beside her, smiling with the bridesmaids, under a caption that said, "My whole family, my whole world." I zoomed in on every face, like a fool. My face was not there. Still, I opened my airline confirmation and convinced myself everything would change when I arrived. The trip cost more than I admitted to anyone. $1,400 for flights from London to Nashville through Chicago, $680 for 4 nights at the Magnolia Inn, $720 for the knife set Brooke once said she wanted, 5 days of paid time off spent on a family that could barely answer my texts. On the plane, somewhere over the Atlantic, I opened my notes app and practiced a toast about Brooke making me officiate pretend weddings for her stuffed animals when we were children. I thought it was sweet. I thought people would laugh. I thought my mother might finally look proud. When I landed in Chicago, I texted Diane that I was halfway there and could not wait to see everyone. 40 minutes later, she replied, "Okay, busy. See you tomorrow." 5 words, no excitement, no safe travels. At the Magnolia Inn, the clerk asked if I was in town for the Caldwell Sinclair wedding. I said yes, and she called me a friend of the family. I almost corrected her. Instead, I smiled. That night, I hung my navy dress in the closet, placed Brooke gift on the desk, and asked Diane when I should arrive. "Ceremony 2, she replied. Nothing else. The next afternoon, I drove to Meadow Creek Barn with the gift on the passenger seat. White fences lined the road. Fairy lights hung from oak trees. Guests walked toward the entrance in bright dresses and polished shoes. Then Frank saw me. His smile vanished. Diane stepped outside, blocked the doorway, and said, "Leave." I laughed once because my mind refused to understand that my own mother was serious there. Margaret Caldwell stepped through the barn doors just as Diane finished telling me I was not invited. Margaret was Garrett's mother. Silver hair, lavender dress, pearls at her throat. The kind of woman who could make a room behave without raising her voice. She looked at Diane, then at me, polite and curious. "Is everything all right out here, Diane?" My mother changed in 1 second. Her face softened. Her voice turned warm. "Oh, nothing serious, Margaret. Just a distant relative who came to the wrong entrance. She is confused about the schedule." A distant relative. I felt those words move through me like cold water. Margaret looked at me again. I saw the question in her eyes before she said it. "I thought you only had one daughter." Diane laughed, small and sharp. "I do," she said. "This is just a cousin from out of town." The barn went quiet behind her, or maybe my body stopped hearing anything else. I looked past my mother's shoulder and saw rows of white chairs, eucalyptus on the beams, candles in glass jars. Every detail I had helped secure with my signature. My father stood half hidden inside the doorway. He did not correct her. He did not say my name. He simply looked away. That was when the truth became complete. Diane had not forgotten me. Brooke had not been too busy. The invitation had not been lost. They had built a version of the wedding where I did not exist because explaining me was inconvenient. I wanted to walk inside and say everything. I wanted to tell Margaret that the cousin in front of her was the older daughter, the contract holder, the one who had paid the deposits while everyone else practiced smiles. But I did not give them the scene they expected me to make. I placed Brooke Gift on the stone step, looked at my mother, and said, "Keep it." Then I turned around. I made it to the rental car before I started crying, quietly, the trained kind of crying, where your face breaks but your mouth stays closed. Through the open window, I heard music begin inside the barn. The wedding was starting. I drove back to the Magnolia Inn, still wearing the dress I had bought to be welcomed. In my room, I kicked off my heels, opened my laptop, and read every vendor email again. Meadow Creek Barn, contract holder, Athena Sinclair. Southern Comfort Catering, contract holder, Athena Sinclair. Bluebonnet Floral Design, contract holder, Athena Sinclair. Whitaker Photography, contract holder, Athena Sinclair. The deposits were gone. The remaining balance was $38,000. Now tell me honestly, if your own mother called you a cousin in front of strangers, what would you have done? Comment your answer below and hit like if this story feels painfully familiar. Because what I found in those contracts next changed everything. It showed me that the person responsible for payment also controlled the final authorization completely. Sunday night, I sat cross-legged on the hotel bed and searched one question. Am I responsible for a vendor contract I signed for someone else's event? The answer was ugly, but useful. Yes, the name on the contract matters, but so does authorization. My card could not be charged if I withdrew permission before the final payment. The vendors had provided services to the wedding hosts. I had the right to say no, not scream, not beg, not explain my childhood to strangers, just no. I called the venue first. My voice sounded calmer than I felt. I told Julie at Meadow Creek Barn that I was the contract holder, that I did not authorize the remaining charge, and that the invoice should be redirected to the Sinclair family, the event hosts. She paused, then said a manager would follow up. I called the caterer next, then the florist, then the photographer. 4 calls, the same sentence. I am not authorizing final payment. Please redirect the balance. Each time I said it, something inside me stood taller. By the time I closed my laptop, $38,000 was no longer my punishment. It was their receipt. I flew back to London Monday morning. On Tuesday, Diane called, sweet voice first. Honey, the venue says you removed payment authorization. The bill is $38,000. How do we handle this? I said, we do not. You do. She went silent. Then I told her I was not paying for an event I was not invited to. She called it a misunderstanding. I reminded her she told Margaret Caldwell I was a cousin. She said I was being dramatic. I said, $38,000 is the size of the drama. By Wednesday, Brooke was crying on my voicemail. Garrett and I cannot afford this, she said. We just got married. You are ruining our start. I asked if she knew Mom planned to keep me out. She admitted it was supposed to be easier for the Caldwells. Easier. That word ended the last soft place I had left for her excuses. Aunt Ruth later called Margaret Caldwell herself and told her the truth. Diane had 2 daughters. The older one paid the deposits. The older one was turned away. The story spread through Cedar Bluff by Sunday. Margaret refused to cover the balance. Brooke and Garrett took a loan. Diane stopped attending her church. Frank sent one honest email saying he should have walked me inside. It did not fix everything, but it mattered. I lost $6,300 in deposits, travel, and gifts, but I did not lose $38,000 more. More importantly, I stopped buying a seat at a table where they kept erasing my name. My unexpected revenge was simple. I let the bill find the family that claimed I was not theirs. For the first time, their silence finally cost them, not me. And I walked away with my name intact.